Coupe SUVs are here to stay whether you like them or not. They're supposed to blend the stylish good looks of a car along with the practicality of an SUV. This BMW X4M though also tries to incorporate some very sporty driving characteristics. So do all those things work together in this package? Let's go for a drive and find out. So what's under the hood of this X4M? Well, it's the S58 engine, which is the exact same engine that's in the brand new BMW M3 and M4. It's a 3-liter inline-6 twin-turbocharged, and it produces 473 horsepower and 442 pound-feet of torque. However, this isn't a regular X4M, it's an X4M Competition. So power gets bumped up to 503 horsepower, and torque remains the same, 442. All that power means that this X4M Competition can do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour in 4 seconds. That's really impressive actually for a SUV that weighs about, well, a smidge under 2.1 tons. But in order to achieve that time, you have to make sure that the RPM needle is in the correct RPM range. Put your foot down at low RPMs and not much happens. At higher RPMs though, the engine comes alive. Power comes quickly and before you know it, the RPM needle is bouncing off the red line. This engine also makes some very sweet sounding music with the active exhaust system. Pops, bangs, crackles, it's all there. However, this is not the most fuel-efficient 3-liter inline-6 out there. It is rated for 16.6 liters per 100 kilometers in a city and 12.1 liters per 100 kilometers on a highway. Not very good fuel economy numbers. However, you can take some comfort in the fact that those fuel economy numbers are very achievable. Currently, I am right in the middle at around 14.5, 14.6 liters per 100 kilometers. Granted, it does take premium fuel, but at least I know that I'm not using like 20 liters per 100 kilometers. Shifting gears is an 8-speed automatic transmission, and just like every other automatic transmission in current BMW models, this one is smooth and quick to shift gears. It has different types of shifting patterns, so you can be in drive and have it be more comfortable, or you can have it in sport where it shifts much more quickly and much more aggressively. It of course also holds the engine RPMs for longer as you move up in the sporty settings. Speaking of different settings, you can pretty much endlessly customize your driving experience to however you want it to be. Because you can adjust the suspension, the steering, and the engine output all through 3 little buttons right down here. Of course, there's also M1 and M2, and you can further customize different options as well. Currently, I have M1 as a sporty steering feel, but comfortable suspension and most aggressive engine response. And then M2 is full out, balls to the walls, every mode in its most sportiest setting possible. But with the power that the engine under the hood provides, you also need some pretty serious binders to slow everything back down again. The brakes of the X4M Competition are not carbon ceramic, but even so, they stop the nearly 2.1-ton SUV with ease. The brake pedal is firm and highly responsive to even the most minute applications. To some though, it might be a bit too much, as it can be difficult to arrive at a smooth stop under daily driving situations. However, take the BMW X4M around a few corners and you'll be glad that the SUV is equipped with such strong brakes. The smallest inputs to the steering wheel quickly translate to movement in the front wheels. Furthermore, the steering has a nice heft to it, so it makes you feel connected to the car. You can also feel the stiffness of the X4M's chassis when driving enthusiastically around corners. It has a near perfect 50-50 weight distribution. There's also the all-wheel drive system that is primarily a rear-wheel drive bias system. When it's in M dynamic mode, it allows for a bit of sliding of the rear wheels before more of the engine's power is sent to the front wheels. This may look like an SUV on the outside, but it behaves more like a sports sedan from behind the steering wheel. When the suspension is in its softest mode, comfort, it's not quite as soft as I would like it to be honest. As you may or may not tell from my man boobs shaking up and down every time I go over a bump, this is a very firm ride. Put the suspension in its most stiffest setting and it pretty much becomes an unbearable driving experience around town at least. I just wish that the suspension was a little bit softer in comfort mode, because right now it feels just a little bit too firm for daily commutes. Like especially if I had a 2 or 3 hour daily commute, I would be very tired at the end of each day. As for noise, it's actually pretty well insulated in here, but on highways you will hear those tires. Thankfully, as you heard earlier, just put your foot down and you hear that exhaust instead. Inside the BMW X4M, it looks pretty much the same as any other BMW SUV. It has the same digital display right in front of me, the same infotainment system, same quick media access buttons right underneath the vents. Climate control is super easy to understand and use. You got a couple of cup holders and wireless phone charging on this particular demo vehicle, and the same media control buttons right here on the center console, as well as a very similar shifter to other BMW vehicles. For the 2022 model year of the X4M, it all looks pretty much the same. The only difference is going to be that this infotainment system screen is going to be bigger, about 12.3 inches if I remember off the top of my head. But everything else is going to remain the same, including the interior space. 6'4" of me, no issues, headroom, legroom, not a problem up here in the front. Let's go sit in the back and see how that is. So in the back of the X4M, it is quite tight for someone of my height. This seat is in my driving position, and as you can see, my knees are right up against the back. As well, because of this sloping roofline, my hair is brushing up against the roofliner. So I'm pretty sure as soon as I step out, I'm gonna have a different hairdo. One thing though that I will note about the back is that these seats, they do recline. Well, you gotta give them a little bit of encouragement, but there's this position or this position, which is not bad. There are heated seats on the outboards, optional extra though. There's climate control and a couple of USB-C ports. And one more thing to note about the back seating area is that it's quite dark in here. I don't know if you can tell from the camera, but black headliner, tinted windows. Well, it is red leather on this particular demo vehicle, but I suspect that if it was black leather, it would be darker still. Let's go see the trunk. And around back, you have 524 liters of cargo volume with those rear seats up, and 1,430 liters with those rear seats folded. As is expected though, that is less than the X3M. With that one, you'll get an additional 290 liters with those rear seats up and 345 liters with those rear seats folded. So the X4M obviously has less cargo volume. than its X3M brother, but for what it is, it's actually not too bad. The X4M Competition starts at $95,600 Canadian, and because it's a BMW, it's not fully loaded even at that price. If you want luxuries such as heated front and rear seats, or ventilated front seats, or wireless phone charging, you'll have to opt for the premium package at $3,150 Canadian. There's other packages too that you can add, such as the Carbon Exterior package, Driving Assistant Plus package, and the Driver's package. All these packages can add up to $10,000 Canadian. But wait, there's more. There's also a few standalone options such as the red brake calipers, the carbon fiber interior trim, and metallic paint. When it's all said and done, the final as-equipped price is $108,000 Canadian before fees and taxes. Of course, the packages and standalone options differ slightly between the Canadian and American markets. As for how the X4M looks, well, the addition of the 21-inch wheels, the aggressive front bumper, the quad exhaust pipes, and the carbon fiber trim pieces, the X4M gets looks pretty much everywhere it goes. The coupe body style will not appeal to everyone, but there is a market out there because I'm noticing more and more coupe SUVs on the roads. As for that sloping roofline, it will hamper visibility out the back. But forward and side visibility is excellent. For the 2022 model year, the X4M receives a mid-cycle refresh with most of the styling relegated to just the front bumper. It does also get the aforementioned 12.3-inch infotainment screen as well as a slight bump in torque from 442 pound-feet to 479 pound-feet in the competition trim. So does the BMW X4M Competition work as a stylish, practical, and sporty driving coupe SUV thing? Well, it actually kind of does. It is very stylish, I will admit that, although it's not exactly my cup of tea, but it does turn a lot of heads wherever it goes. It's practical, albeit not as practical as a regular SUV, but definitely more practical than a coupe car, and it's a lot of fun to drive. However, I'm not completely sold on these coupe SUVs. If I were looking for a coupe, I'd go for a car. And if I wanted an SUV, I'd go for something that's more of a regular SUV. So I'd personally take the X3M Competition over the X4M Competition. But what would you do? Let me know in the comments. X3M Competition or X4M Competition? Or GLC 63 maybe? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, if you want to know more about this BMW X4M Competition, I wrote a more detailed review of it over on my website. You can find that link in the video description. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck or probably be another SUV. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.